So, you find yourself being distracted in your current situation whenever you're trying to complete your work. Well, I got 10 tips that are going to help you set up a productive work environment. Coming up.
Just take your passion and turn it into a business. That's all you have to do.
Hey everyone, my name is Kyle Lee, and welcome to Hone My Hustle, where we show you how to take your passion and turn it into an online business. Now, today I wanted to go over a couple of tips that I have for you in order to turn, that whole mindset of just kind of not wanting to work or not being able to work efficiently. And I just want to give you 10 tips on how you can improve that type of thing. Number one, all you have to do is announce that it is work time. You have to let whoever it is that you have, if you're working at home, you have to let them know, hey, I have to work. I need, this amount of time in order to work. You just have to pretty much announce it. You have to let it be known that, hey, you're in work mode, can't be disturbed for this amount of time, and you just gotta focus on that. If you're at a workspace or whatever, just say, you know what, I have my work mode in. I can't be disturbed. Just, let's talk a little bit later, and then, after I'm done with my work, we can have all the conversation and waste as much time as we want. Number two, make sure that you have a clean work area. Ain't nobody want to work in a pigsty. If you have like stuff all over the place and you're like, I gotta clean this, I gotta clean that, it ain't gonna work. So you got to have a clean environment so that you're not being distracted, being like, I got to clean this thing on the wall. Like, leave the damn thing on the wall alone. And if you do have a dirty work environment, clean it up on some other time. Don't use your work time. Don't use the time that you've allotted, that you've announced to whoever that you announced it to be cleaning up. That's not what you were, planning on doing. You were planning on working. So make sure that time is designated to working, not cleaning. If you do have a mess, especially if it's just a bunch of papers, just stack them up and throw them somewhere else, in a nice little stack. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just need to get your work done, right? Number three, turn off social media. And you should already know this by now. Come on, honestly. How many hours a day do you spend on social media? Like, honestly, like how many times are you scrolling through Instagram, swiping on Snapchat or whatever the hell you're doing? How much time are you just wasting on that? So you got to keep in mind that these social networking platforms, especially the big ones, are made to keep you on there. They're made to show you the content that's going to keep you on their platform longer. So make sure that you're turning off all your social media. If that means signing out of the account so that it's a lot harder for you to do that, then go ahead and sign out of the account. If you need to take it one step further and delete the app, then you need to delete the app, just so that you have to go through the process of downloading it again and then signing back in, and then you're back to your wasteful time of enjoying Instagram or whatever it is. Numero cuatro. All you have to do is turn on that do not disturb on your phone if you have a smartphone, which you most likely do if you're watching YouTube, because most people consume YouTube on their smartphone. But anyway, on your smartphone, just put it on do not disturb. You need to turn that moon icon all the way on, because what that's going to do is it's going to make sure that nobody's able to contact you unless it's an emergency, in which case, you could set it up so that, certain people can contact you after so many calls or whatever it is. But pretty much do not disturb needs to be on while you're working, so that, you don't see a notification, you don't get a text message or a phone call that's going to just completely throw you off of what you were, once you have that momentum, you don't want it to be, thrown off by just a random text message, somebody sending you an animated GIF or something like that, right? One, two, five. Dream board. You got to have a dream board up, right? And what I mean by dream board is you pretty much have to have something in front of you to kind of display what your goals really are. If it's not a physical dream board where you kind of get one of those giant poster boards that we used to grab for school projects and stuff like that, the three side whatever, then go ahead and make a dream board on your phone, or at least make a dream album in your Photos app. You should be able to put together some type of album inside of whatever Photos app you have, and you should be able to scroll through that and take a look at that and be like, you know what, this, you have to visualize it. This is what I'm working for. This is why I'm looking. This is why I'm spending my time away from whatever it is I'd rather be doing, and I want to achieve those goals. So just have your dream board in front of you, have easy access to your dream board. And I would recommend, if it is on your phone, if it is a digital version, keep that device open. Make sure that it doesn't auto lock pretty much, so that you can constantly be looking up at it if you're like, I really don't feel like doing this, and then you're like, oh yeah, I really want that car or whatever it is, right? So 6, list out the tasks that you actually have to complete, because what you want to do is, when you're actually supposed to be working, when you're in work mode, when you're actually sitting there in your spot and you actually find out, hey, I'm ready to work, I am working, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you're not doing something that's irrelevant. You don't want to do something that's just, kind of easy, that you could probably do on the couch while you're with your kids or whatever, on your phone, right? When you've set up, when you're in your workspace and you're working, use that time to do the things that you can't do otherwise you're in this space, right? So utilize this time in this space properly, and you do that by listing out all the goals or all the tasks that you have to accomplish while you're in this space. Don't do the things that you can do when you're with the kids, or out with your friends or whatever it is. So next up, light a candle. Yes, light a candle, and I do mean that literally. Light a candle, because what will happen is, lighting a candle will, if you light a candle every single time that you're working, and you get that smell of, I don't know, ocean breeze. You get your ocean breeze candle and you light it up, and that's the smell of that you smell every time you're going into work. Then whenever you're not in the mindset of working, what you can do is you can just light that candle, and you'll get that ocean breeze and be like, it's time to work. It's going to trigger something in your mind that's going to make you, remember, hey, every time I smell this, it's time for me to be working on my hustle. So check that out. You can, I've also heard, you can do it as chewing gum too. So if you want to pull out a pack of minty winter fresh or something like that, go ahead and do that too. But some type of trigger that will get you into your mindset, some type of external trigger that will get you into the mindset of working. So you have to do that every time that you're working. And when you're not wanting to work, then hopefully that external trigger will help get you back into that mindset of working. Number 8, turn on that good music. Now, if you're listening to some good music, some uplifting music, I'm hoping what that will do for you is it's going to get you into, a more energetic mood. You're going to be singing, you'll be like, hell yeah, I'm getting it. I'm getting it, just like something like that. You're happy to be in the situation that you're at. You're listening to some good music, you're all energetic, it's getting you happy, and hopefully you'll be able to do your work in a happy and energetic mindset. Now, there are downsides to listening to music, like there are studies that say that listening to music, especially music with lyrics, can be more disruptive towards work than anything. So it kind of just depends on the person. Me personally, I love listening to music. It helps me get in the mood to work, because then I'm all pumped up and I just want to get at it. But what's recommended is, if you're going to listen to music to help you get into that that state of flow, it's called Baroque music. It's a type of classical music, and if you listen to Baroque music, it's actually music, more classical music without any lyrics in it, and that's actually shown to improve your state of flow, which means you're pretty much working efficiently. Oh yeah. 9. So my 9th tip is pretty much just set a timer, and I want you to think about it like this. Have you ever been late to show up somewhere? Maybe it was school, maybe it was work, maybe it was a party, whatever it was, right? And you found out that you were supposed to leave 5 minutes ago, and usually it takes you about an hour to get ready, right? Well, you were supposed to leave 5 minutes ago, you're already running 5 minutes late, right? So you're able to get ready and do everything that you would normally do, probably not as good, but you're able to do everything that you would normally do within those 10 minutes that it takes for you to get ready, because now you're running late, because now you're up against the clock. Now you're racing to get to somewhere, right? So I want you to set a timer every time that you work, so that you're constantly reminded that, hey, I have to get this task, this task, this task, those tasks that you list out. You have to get those tasks completed in this small amount of time. So now what you're doing is you're racing against the clock. Now, At the end of that clock, you have pretty much two options. Let's touch on the first one. The first one is to just keep working, especially if you have more time after that. If you said that, you're going to work for an hour straight and then you end up working for an hour and 15 minutes, what that kind of does is it kind of defeats the purpose of the clock. So, mentally next time you're not going to be taking the clock so much as seriously because hey, at the end of this, hour or whatever it is, I can keep going, or if I don't make it, it's not that big of a deal because the clock isn't something that's real, right? So you could keep working, which, could get more results for that particular session of work for that particular day. But in the long run, this might hurt you just because now you're not really taking the clock seriously if this is one of the strategies that you do decide to adopt. So obviously, what I would recommend is to stop working as soon as that timer's up. Try to estimate exactly how much time that you have to work and try to put that on the clock and work that exact amount, obviously without distractions, and work all the way up into that amount. And even if you have time after that, what I would say is if you do plan on working a little bit more, let's say you wanted to work for an hour straight and you end up having a whole 2 hours, take a 15-minute break. And then when you come back, set it for 45 minutes and just finish up that 45 minutes. And then that will be the course of your 2 hours of work. Because one, you're not supposed to be working for extensively long amounts of time, straight. And two, what it's going to do is it's going to make you realize that, hey, you know what? When the clock is up, that's when I have to stop, and I'm going to stick to that. And once again, it keeps you really considering that clock as something that's important. And number 10, the best tip of all that I could really give you for having a productive work environment, a productive workspace, wherever you are working, make sure that you keep it consistent, but that's not the tip. What the tip is wherever that place is that you're working, make sure that you leave it as soon as you're done working. So if you're working in an office like myself, right, then what I would recommend is that every time that you go to that place, you are only working, and as soon as the work stops, you leave. If you're working, you don't have an office space for yourself, I used to work out of the kitchen, right? So anytime that I was to go into the kitchen because we didn't eat dinner in the kitchen very often. Every time I would go into the kitchen, it would be my space to specifically just do work whenever I was sitting at the dining room table. And, yours might be whenever you're, try not to make it a bed because, your bed is where you sleep. Try to make it some space that you can go into and you're only going to do that thing there. And you're only going to do your work there. And then once you leave that place, that's when that thing stops. So it's constantly reinforcing that this is a place for work. And I am only working in this spot. As soon as I'm not working, I leave this spot. So I would always recommend that if you have a designated workspace, which you should, no matter where it is, that you only do work in that space, and as soon as you start checking your phone, getting distracted, going through Instagram or whatever it is, then you immediately leave. So what do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think about those 10 tips, and if you like the video, make sure you share it so that it can help other people be a lot more productive. And if you want more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Now get out there and turn that passion into a business.